Hi, I'm Hector Garcia. I'm a CPA and an advanced QuickBooks Pro advisor. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to import journal entries into QuickBooks Desktop. So if you're using QuickBooks Online, this video is not for you. Now, a quick warning before we get started. This video is going to be a little bit long, and some of these procedures are going to feel a little kooky just because they're sort of very technical. So just bear with me, okay? I know it's a long video. I know I'm going to lose you in some cases just because there's so many little things that we're doing with Excel and tweaking back and forth. But if you watch the entire video, it'll all make sense towards the end. And you're going to have some clear options, right? You either use the templates that are out there, or you use some of the tools that you have to pay for to do what you want to do. So yes, it's going to feel a little kooky, a little bit strange at the beginning, but as you see the entire workflow of the video at the end, it'll be very clear in exactly what path you want to take to import your journal entries. Now we're assuming that the journal entry you're trying to import into QuickBooks Desktop, it's already sitting in an Excel file of some sort. Kind of like this. In reality, everybody's journal entry they're trying to import is going to look significantly different depending on how that journal entry was constructed. Some people will type these things by hand and then try to import into QuickBooks. Some people will have this coming out of some other software. Everybody's case is going to be different. But essentially, the assumption that we're making is that you have some sort of data that looks like a journal entry in an Excel file, and you want to import it into QuickBooks because you don't want to type everything by hand. So there are three ways to achieve this. One is you can copy and paste it into an IIF file template that I have that allows you to take the Excel data, put it into the format that QuickBooks will accept it, which is called the IIF file. And this is free. You don't have to pay for the template. You can just download it. So to download the template, just go to the link that's on the screen. And then once you click on that, the screen will look like this. And you're going to click on that download button right there in the middle. You click on download. Save it somewhere in your computer. And the file looks like this. So it's an IIF file. And this file, if you double click on it, it will try to import straight into QuickBooks. So you don't ever want to do that right off the bat. What you want to do is you want to open Excel, a blank Excel workbook. And once you have your blank Excel workbook up and running, make sure it's not maximized. Make sure it's a window that you can move around, where you can take the icon that's sitting on your desktop and click and drag right into it. So again, we're going to grab the icon that's sitting in your desktop somewhere or in whatever folder you use to download it. And we're going to take that template and drag and drop it into the empty Excel document. What this will do is it will now open basically the IIF template that you downloaded into Excel, into the only format that QuickBooks will accept a journal entry. And you're going to see some random information in there that you're going to have to now mold your existing journal entry Excel file into this one. So let's open that up. All right. So on my left side, I have my template, right? This is the only stuff that QuickBooks will accept. And on the right side, I have whatever it is that I have that I want to import into QuickBooks. Now you need to notice a couple of things. On the IIF template, the fourth line, it starts with trans. That's the first line of the transaction. Okay. And then you're going to see SPL, that's the split. That's every split of the transaction. If you need that journal entry to be 5 lines long, like this one that has 5 rows, we're going to have to make sure that we have 4 additional SPL lines. So I'm going to insert here some blank lines and copy SPL down. And this transaction type journal that also needs to come in. And I'm just going to go ahead and delete this because that's the blank information. That's the sample information that's sitting on the template. So I'm going to clear that out. And I'm going to now take the information I have in whatever Excel file I have that contains that journal entry. And then I'm going to copy and paste that into the IIF template. So we have all the account names here. So I'm going to copy these and paste them into the account column here, D. Paste that. Perfect. Then I have all my classes, assuming that I have classes in my journal entry. Copy that and paste. Then I have my amounts. Now the amounts are tricky. You actually need the debits and the credits to be converted into a positive or negative amount. So I'm going to insert a column here, and then I'm going to just run a quick formula. I'm going to say if this number is more than 0, then give me this number. Otherwise, give me the negative version of this number. So that's the formula to convert debits and credits into a single line. Close that, enter, click and drag this down, and I get negatives and positives based on whether it's a debit or credit. This is just the way it needs to be converted, because on the IIF template, you actually don't get debits and credits. You get just a single amount. So I'm gonna copy that converted debit credit number that's positive for debit and negative for credit and paste it in here. And then I'm going to take the memo, again, assuming that I have different memos. Paste that. And then payee or customer name, assuming that I have that information as well. So paste that in. Perfect. Then the date, bring that in. And that has to copy across all lines. So I'm just going to copy and paste 2 and then click and drag down. And then we have the reference number here, which is the document number that we want on the journal entry. Copy that and put it here under doc number. And then I'm just going to make sure that it's the same number coming down. Copy and paste. A lot of clicking, and bring that in. And that's what the journal entry would have to look like in an IIF file in order for it to be imported. So that's how I got this Excel file that contains the data I wanted to import, and now reformat it into the only possible way that QuickBooks will bring it in. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. So now we're ready to import. Now there's a very, very, very important caveat. In order for a journal entry to import correctly, the very first line that says transaction, the account cannot be a bank account and cannot be a credit card account. If you choose a bank account or a credit card account as the first line, it may come in as a check, a deposit, or as a credit card charge or a credit card credit. So this very first account that you use absolutely cannot be a bank or a credit card account. So that's the first caveat. Caveat number 2, every single account that you choose in there that you import must already be in your chart of accounts. If it's not, you're going to get really, really bad results. QuickBooks is going to create all those accounts as bank accounts, and it's really going to make a mess. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. I'm going to open up QuickBooks, and then I'm going to open the chart of accounts. I did create the one called account 1. Look, I did create account 1, and it's not a bank or a credit card. So that one's the journal entry is gonna come in just fine, but I didn't create accounts 2 through 5. So you're gonna see really strange things happening because I didn't make sure that the account in my template matches my real chart of accounts. Now I also pulled a balance sheet and a profit and loss so we can see exactly what happens once we pull that journal in. So again, we're going to take this journal entry and we're going to go ahead and import it into QuickBooks. So I'm just going to save, close it, and I'm going to go to File, Utilities, Import, IIF file. I'm going to choose the journal entry that I was working on just now, which is this one called Journal Template, which is the one I downloaded from the link I gave you, and then I edit it. I'm going to hit Open. Hit OK. And notice what happened. Because these accounts 2, 3, 4, 5 were not in my chart of accounts, QuickBooks actually created a bank account. This is just a weird behavior of the IIF journal entry file import. So I'm showing you because I don't want you to commit the same error when you're doing this on your own. So you must make sure that your journal entry has the correct account numbers that match your chart of accounts. Otherwise, it's going to create a real messy transaction. Let me go ahead and delete this. Perfect. I'm going to pull up my chart of accounts, and I'm just going to use this as an example. Go ahead and open Excel again. Open a blank page. Click and drag my template file. All right, and I'm going to make sure that the accounts that I'm using actually match my chart of accounts. So let's say, for example, we got this one here called taxes. So we'll come in here and type taxes. Then let's say the other one I'm going to use here is other income. Other income. And then I'm going to use the actual account number. So this one called 801100. So that's a really cool thing about this. You can actually use the account name or the account number. It actually allows you to do so. And let's say that we're also going to do repairs. And of course, I'm doing this totally at random. This is something that you would already have with the actual real account numbers. I'm just making sure that the accounts that we're using are all accounts that are already in my chart of accounts. Let me go ahead and save this. Go back into QuickBooks. I'm going to go ahead and delete this weird bank accounts that were created due to the bad import in the first place. Got that? All right. So let's go ahead and we got the blank balance sheet and profit and loss. File, utilities, import, IAF file. Pick my template, hit open. I have to make sure that it's closed. It won't actually let you import while it's still open in Excel. So that's actually really good that we got that error. Let me close that, try it again. File, utilities, import IAF file. Select my template, hit open. Okay. And now we got the journal entry hitting actual real accounts and not creating any random bank accounts in the process. So that's what I call the free version of doing this whole thing, is using an IAF template, which actually works pretty well. The problem is there's a lot of it. You have to pay a lot of attention to detail. There's a lot of copy and pasting. And at the end of the day, does it really save you time? It really depends on how long the journal entry is. If the journal entry has 100 lines and all the accounts are accurate, then it will work pretty well. But you have to do a lot of finagling. Now I have another alternative, which is a macro that I designed, actually outsourced the design, but somebody else programmed it for me, that I use to take an Excel file, press a button, and then convert and create that same IAF file for me, but without me having to mess with the IAF file itself. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So that page right there will take you to the site where you can download that macro. That's something that I sell, by the way. It's $25. Even if you don't feel like spending $25, check it out. It's actually pretty cool how it works. You can just use the free option that I showed you earlier. But let me show you how this one works. So this is my macro file that I have. I'm going to click here on Enable Content so I can turn on the macro. And basically, you construct the journal entry in this page like this. It must be under that blue space, and you can copy and paste from another Excel file you may have. And then you click on this button here that says Generate IAF File, and it will create the IAF file for you. But what's also cool about this is you can have multiple journal entries on the same line as well. So for example, I have these 3 lines here, reference number 1, that's the number of the journal entry. That's one journal entry here. And then I have number 2, that's a second journal entry here. So with this template, you can actually copy and paste multiple journal entries, and you can actually copy and paste the debit and the credit format. You don't have to reformat it to positive or negative. And then you simply just click on Generate IAF File. And then you save it, let's say somewhere in the desktop. There you go. So I got my new file sitting on my desktop. I'm going to open it up real quick just so you can see what it looks like. Just by opening up a blank Excel file, click and drag that in there, and see it generates the IAF for you based on that template. So you can work off the template that I already gave you the link to, and you can build it in the exact same way that you're seeing it on the screen, and that will work just fine. As a matter of fact, I encourage you to do so. If for whatever reason that one tool with the macro is something that you like, go ahead and go to that website that I showed you earlier. It's right here on the screen, and you can pay $25 through PayPal, and I'll email that to you. All right, so let's import that file, utilities, import IAF file. Select the journal IAF file, click open. The data has been imported, and there it is. There's my other journal entry coming in. So that was two options. That was copy and pasting into the IAF file template. There's the link again. And then converting an existing Excel file that you can copy and paste into my macro. Click on the generate IAF file, and that's the website to go to it, and it will do it for you. And the last option is to use Transaction Pro Importer. One of my favorite tools. Go to transactionproimporter.com to purchase it. It's $200. It actually allows you to import almost any file type into QuickBooks, but we're going to use TPI just to import the journal entry for this specific example. Now, let's say this is the journal entry that we're going to be using. Okay, so let's say, for example, this is what I have in my Excel, and I want to import this using Transaction Pro Importer. So I'm going to open up the tool. Okay, and there's my tool up and running here. So I'm going to go ahead and select the journal entry that I want to bring in. I'm going to tell it import type journal entry, because you can actually import all these types of transactions. So we're just doing the example with journal entries. I click on next. Then it's going to give me a quick preview to see what that looks like before the import comes in. Then I'm going to click on next. Then I'm going to do the mapping. So I have to make sure that this mapping matches my spreadsheet. So I'm going to match reference number with reference number, date with date, account with account. I actually have these labeled really well, but in the real world, you probably won't. So you have to make sure that you understand what your labels are like to be able to make it all work. Perfect. So now that I got my mapping done, I'm going to click on next. Then it's going to tell me what errors are there. I'm going to hit OK. And it gives me two errors. It tells me that the rental account doesn't exist, and then the repair-equipment repairs doesn't exist either. So let me open up QuickBooks and check out the chart of accounts. So let's search for rent here. Okay, so yeah, it's called rent, not rental. So I'm going to have to fix it on my spreadsheet. So let me go ahead and do that. So change that from rental to rent. And then my other error was equipment-equipment repairs doesn't exist. Let's take a look at QuickBooks. Chart of accounts, let's see. Okay, so it's actually repairs, equipment repairs. So it's a sub-account. So maybe that's what I was trying to do. So let's go ahead and fix that. Another important caveat here, I'm using account names, not account numbers. So if I have account numbers turned on in QuickBooks, for example, in this case I have them off, but if I have them on like this, I hit OK, it's just not going to work. I have to use account numbers in order to import if I happen to have account numbers turned on. If I'm using a spreadsheet that doesn't have any account numbers, then I have to make sure that in QuickBooks I have account numbers turned off. So again, if my account numbers are on, I have to use account numbers in the spreadsheet. If I'm using account names in the spreadsheet, then I have to turn them off in QuickBooks for this to work. Okay, let's try this again. Let's load the spreadsheet again. Let's make sure we save it. Let's go to save here. Perfect. Let's load the spreadsheet again. Click on next. Okay, now those should be good. Let's hit next, next. Yes. Okay, more errors. Okay, it's telling me that the reference numbers are missing, and it's probably going to tell me the same thing about the transaction dates. So let me go back. Open the spreadsheet again. I'm going to make sure that this information is now being copied throughout my spreadsheet, just because Transaction Pro Importer is going to require that we have these flat files. Okay, perfect. So now I have the same information coming in throughout. And then just to add, you're going to add some information here. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 journal entries. I'm going to show you. Just going to give it a different number. Okay, so as long as I have the same number throughout, I'll change some of these numbers here so we have a little bit of variance. So I can actually have a spreadsheet that has multiple journal entries, and I'm just showing you, taking advantage. I'm doing this example to show you that. And it's this reference number, the one that drives the unique journal entries. And obviously the reference number and the dates have to match with each other. So let me save that, load it again. Okay, perfect. So in Transaction Pro Importer, it's showing me more lines now with the different reference numbers. Hit next. I got my mapping done. Next, yes. Okay, quick preview. Okay, that's probably just going to work. Next, and okay. You're going to see validating here in the bottom and processing. And then once it's done, we go back into QuickBooks. And check it out. I have some new entries here in the profit and loss. Double click here on net income so I can see all these details. Double click here. There's a journal entry, right, with the entry number 12254. And that was coming in from this piece of information here. That came in beautiful. See that? Let me close that and look at the other journal entry, which was this group right over here. So Transaction Pro Importer is a really, really awesome tool. It actually allows you to import invoices. Actually, let me show you so you can see what the whole tool does. You can import bank statements, bills payments, checks, credit card charges, credit card statements, credit memos, deposits, estimates, inventory adjustments, invoices, item receipts, journal entries, purchase orders, receive payment, sales orders, sales receipt, statement charges, time tracking, bank transfers, vendor credits, and a whole bunch of lists. So it's an extremely powerful tool, as you can see. In this case, we only used it for journal entries. So just wanted to show you all the different options. Again, those are the 3 options. Copy and paste into the IAF file template, completely free. You can just download it and work on that. Follow the video instructions step by step. Purchase my macro, which that could be a good option for you for $25, or just get the best tool out there, which is Transaction Pro Importer.